Well, hello everyone. We've got something really cool coming up here with the planet Mars and the moon. There's going to be an occultation of Mars, which the moon's going to pass in front of it and block it for a little bit. And if you're fortunate, you can see Mars disappear behind the moon, and then I think it's a little over an hour later, you can see Mars peek back out. And it shows it here as being January the 14th, but that's based on universal time. So that's based on zero longitude there, I guess Greenwich Mean Time, what have you. So for us over here in the United States, it's actually happening on the evening of the 13th, which will be Monday evening, I believe. Yes. So this coming Monday, January 13th, if you're in the United States. And if you're out way over here east, I guess it would be after midnight on the 14th. But this website here, I'll put a link to it as well. It's www.lunarplanets/IOTA//0114mars.htm. I also tried searching for it. I had this link in an email, and before I opened the email, I tried to find it, and it wasn't as easy as I thought. But I searched for lunaroccultations.com, and I get this main site, and on this page, it was hard to find, but if I scrolled down a little farther on the search results, I found occultation of planets by the moon for 2025, and it's in there along with some others. So, bright planet and asteroid occultations by the moon for 2025. Scroll down a little ways, and you've got a little calendar, if you will. So we're looking at the one for the 14th for Mars. Saturn already happened. Some people saw it, but this one here that's coming up is visible in the United States, Mexico, Southeast Canada, West Africa, and then there's more too. Okay, yeah, on the 1st of February, Saturn if you're in Eastern Asia. The 9th of February, Mars again in Northern Europe and Northern Asia. And then way up in September the 19th, Venus, Northern Canada, Greenland, Europe. I guess that's supposed to be Northwest Africa and Northwest Asia. Anyway, we'll get back to the one we're on. So if you scroll down on this page, you can see it's listed in universal time for disappearance and reappearance. And you can find your location. So it starts off here. I guess this is the country, I guess, before, because I got to go down a ways to find USA. But it'll tell your universal time when it disappears. And for me here in Indiana, I'm 5 hours behind it. So I got to subtract 5 hours from whatever. So I'll scroll down here and find the U.S. There's United States. And then I got to go way down to the T's. Okay, and there, number 599, Terre Haute, Indiana. So for me, it's supposed to start at 2:05 and 35 seconds universal time. So I subtract 5 hours, that would be 9:05 p.m. basically, it should disappear. And then I scroll down a little further and we got the reappearance list. And I'll go down here to that. I guess it's 599 again, huh? Let's see. 3:15. So there it's 3:15 and 25 seconds. So I guess it takes an hour and 10 minutes that it's hiding behind the moon. And let's see here. It's got some other information. I'll get up to the top where I can read the stuff. So let's see. Tells the altitude and azimuth of the moon at that point. And see, for me, that's something I got to watch. I've got trees over to the east. So for me, when it goes behind the moon, it's still going to be down in the trees, but I might actually be able to see it. There's no leaves on the trees, so I might get lucky and get a peek. Of course, I got to have clear skies, and it's kind of iffy right now. And then by the time it reappears, I believe it's going to be above it. I'll get down there again real quick, because I need about at least 45 degrees. All depends on the angle, you know, because I've got some trees that are a little taller than others. Okay, yeah, it shows 50.97 degrees. So then it's just a matter of my forecast. So we'll see what my weather is. So I brought up my good old National Weather Service for Terre Haute. And you can see it's January. Last night it got down below zero. It would have been a nice night to try to get images of Mars, but it was too cold for me to go out there. We've had cloudy weather here for quite a bit here lately, the past few weeks. So Monday for me, okay, Monday night, partly cloudy, low around 8 degrees Fahrenheit, west wind around 7. And let's see, the high temperature that afternoon was 25. I might get lucky. It might be between 15 and 20 degrees or something when I'm doing it. And then, of course, I got to hope that I've got some clear skies. I was thinking I'd never seen an occultation of Mars or any of the planets, but I had to have one, and that was, I'm not sure exactly what year it was. It was in the past couple years or so, and it was cloudy here, and I got lucky and managed to barely get a picture of it. I had a webcam going. I'd set up early and managed to get all my alignment stars set and found Mars while it was still coming up through the trees and had it tracking, and then the clouds made it disappear. And since I was reasonably polar aligned and all that and had my alignment stars picked, it stayed in there pretty good. Plus I was using a flip mirror with a low power eyepiece too, so I was able to recenter it easy. But it right as Mars was peeking back out, I'd get just a couple seconds here and there where I could see the moon and see Mars. And when you're doing that, when you got that in the camera and you start looking at it, your exposure's going haywire. 1 second it was underexposed and the next it was way overexposed. But I had like 1 second or less of good time while it was capturing, and that happened a couple times, and I managed to get a picture. But anyway, let's see. I'll bring this up on Carte du Ciel as well. That might be interesting. A little while ago, I went outside, and I noticed that the moon was almost above the trees. So I took a quick look, and at that time, it was 43 degrees showing on altitude. So I'm like, okay, that's close. I could tell that I was probably going to be clear of the trees within 15 or 20 minutes. And of course, the positions here, by the time Monday rolls around, may be different. I'll probably be at a different azimuth and all that because the declination won't be the same. But either way, I know that I can get it. It's just a matter of now weather. But I'll get my time set up here so I can show this to you. Okay, so we'll get my date and time corrected. I don't want to use system time. January the 13th. And we'll get up to about, well, let's see, it starts at 9:05. We'll get up here about 9 o'clock or so. So hopefully it should still be not quite disappeared at that point. And here, down here's Mars and the moon. We'll get them centered up. We can zoom in a little closer. Okay. So there you can see it's showing me just a couple minutes before time for it to happen. Mars is very close. And you can see it's nearly a full moon. I think full moon's a day or two later. And we can tweak the time forward a minute or two here. 9:04. You can see there it's starting to disappear. And of course this all depends, your latitude and longitude, will make it a little different depending on where you're at, because the times I had on there were based on downtown Terre Haute, and of course the difference has got to be minimal, just might even be a fraction of a second. But we'll get in there and it's kind of neat that you can see it disappear. Go one more minute, see what it does. Okay, let's go more. We'll just go about another 5 minutes or so. And of course I've got it zoomed in so close. So there now Mars has disappeared behind the moon by about 12 minutes after 9. So now let's get it to start peeking out. Let's see, I think it was 10:15. So 22:15. Up there, center Mars again. Okay, and it shows it's just peeking back out. So you can see if you want to, especially if you're trying to get a really tight image of it, if you've got a high power telescope, that's one of the things I learned when I did it before, was see, the moon's so much brighter than the planet or whatever happens to be getting occulted. But so it's hard to, if you were taking a real wide image, like where you were getting the entire moon, you might have to really overexpose the moon. But a friend of mine had told me that if you're zoomed in really tight on the planet, that it's no big deal. You just get the exposure set for the planet, and that worked. So hopefully, I can get in like this, where Mars is semi-large. I won't get quite that big probably. But anyway, that'll help me out. So I'll try to have it. I want to get all set up well before the occultation time. So I want to get out there really ideally shortly after dark, because see, the sun sets around 5:30. That's more than enough time, as I'll be using my 180 millimeter Maxitov telescope if I've got the good weather. And it takes a while for the corrector plate to stabilize and all that, and I put that homemade blanket thing on there you might have seen in another video to try to help stabilize it, and that means it keeps it more stable in there, but it also takes longer for the temperature to stabilize. But I did use it a while back when I was doing Jupiter, and I was set up plenty early, and by the time I was doing the planet, it was fine. So I'll want to get out there and try to have my polar alignment really good as I can get it, and I'm going to try to select several alignment stars. See here, a while back, I tried setting up my Maxitov by using the Telrad that I had, and that really helped me a lot, because one of the issues I'd had, since that thing's 2700 millimeter focal length, it is such a small area of sky that it can be challenging to get an object in it when you're first setting up. And I found that if I had that lined up with my eyepiece, with my, I've got that 27 millimeter Angel Eyes eyepiece. It's just a 1¼ inch, not very expensive, like a super wide angle eyepiece. If I had it centered in the Telrad, it fell into the view of that eyepiece, you know, and it wouldn't be necessarily on center, but I could center it up easily in the eyepiece, and then flip the mirror and get it centered in the camera. And I also have that an illuminated reticle eyepiece. It's the one I use is a 12.5 millimeter. It's an old Orion one, so I end up using both eyepieces. I'll get it in the wide angle when the 27 millimeter first, and then when I got it close to center, I can use that illuminated reticle and try to get it right in the crosshairs, and then flip over to the camera, and it'll be close to it. I think one of the things I learned is that crosshair in the eyepiece isn't necessarily the same dead center mark as the camera, but it's close enough that it really helps a lot. And then I can get it centered up in the camera and then go from there. So then my plan would be to try to have my exposure figured well in advance of it, and hopefully I'll get when Mars is really close to disappearing, hopefully it's clear and between the tree branches, if you will, which it should. I would be able to get a few. It's just a matter of that moment, whether or not it's got a big branch in front of it or not. There's nothing I can do about that from that spot, but I can get it as good as I can. Anyway, I wanted to share this since I just found this out, and hopefully there'll be a lot of people that get a chance to get a cool picture of this. It's really nice since Mars is making its closest approach to us too, because opposition day is, I think it's either the 15th or the 16th. Let me bring it up. It's real close. So this is within 2 or 3 days of opposition. So Mars is going to be about as close as it's going to get to us, and have this happen at the same time. So that's really neat. Okay, so I'm here on this Heavens Above website. It's www.heavens-above.com. You gotta make sure you got that hyphen in there. It'll take you to some weird page and try to sell you real estate or something. And then over here, I've got my own driveway put in, but you can click on your location and get a map of the world and all that and find your own place. But I'm going to scroll down here a little ways to astronomy and planets. And this is set for tonight right now, the 9th. But it'll tell me if I go down on Mars. Let's see. Yeah, the opposition day for 2025 is January the 15th here. Now, I think I saw somebody posted the 16th, but that may be, after midnight where they live or whatever. It's hard to say. But either way, we're really close to that. So this is potentially a really good thing to see, and hopefully a bunch of us get to see it.